What's going on, guys? Drifter here with the top 10 things I wish I knew when I first started playing Valheim. So you're in a fresh game and your first instinct, or mine, was to take off running and explore the beautiful world of Valheim. Well, slow down, take a look around. They give you everything you need right off the bat to at least get you going. They give you a little bit of food so you can each get your stamina up and your health up. When I first started, I was really frustrated because I had really low health and I was running out of stamina really fast. Alright guys, tip number 2, when you're cutting trees down, you can always try to cut on an angle or downhill or at the top of a hill. It can create a snowball effect that will break all of the trees below it, or at least do damage to them, so when the time comes for you to chop them down, it makes it a lot easier. Second part to this tip is if you can find trees that are close enough together, you can actually hit them at the same time, which basically gives you a 2-for-1 when you're chopping trees to get your wood faster. Alright guys, tip number 3, if you don't feel like chopping trees down or you're early game and you have 10 wood, you can actually build a crafting station, and with your hammer you can find these existing structures all over the map. You can actually just break them and they will give you free wood. Next tip, guys, is going to be cooking stations. You can actually place, I believe it's up to 5 cooking stations on one fire, and you can cook. This is nice if you have 15 or 20 things to cook. You can get it done in 1 or 2 batches instead of staying up all night cooking 2 at a time. The next tip is going to be wind direction. So you can actually see the wind is going this way right now. It's these white lines, and downwind from a deer, which are very skittish, they will pick up on your scent very quickly, and so if you get too close they will catch it. So what you want to do is you want to be on the right side of the wind, and you can actually get a lot closer before they notice you. Alright guys, the next tip has to do with your workbench. Right here is the repair button. Valheim does not charge you any resources to repair your equipment, so every time you can, get on your workbench, repair your equipment, keep it at full strength. Another side note to that is your upgrades. I already have these upgraded, and I have a higher tier workbench, which you get by crafting these items. When you go into crafting, they show the workbench upgrades. Your first 2 workbench upgrades you can get pretty quick. I think it's worth upgrading your stone axe and your hammer and your club, because they don't break as fast and they do increase the stats just a little bit, and they really don't cost any resources to do so. So I think it's worth upgrading them, even though they're the most basic and you're gonna be into bronze fairly quickly. I still think it's worth spending the little bit of resources to upgrade them. Alright guys, next tip is going to be the rested buff, and comfort level. So your comfort level increases by different things that you have in your house, one of them being a deerskin rug. When you get fine wood, you can make a chair. All of these things increase the comfort level, which you can see up in the top right hand corner, where it says comfort level 7. What this does is the higher that comfort level is the longer your rested buff lasts. And your rested buff is one of the most powerful buffs in this game. You can see here the rested buff gives you 50% health regen, 100% stamina regen, and E tier regen. These are vital. When you're out running around and your stamina's low, it kicks it right back up as long as you have that rested buff. Next tip, these stones are all over the map. Typically they come with some lore, and a lot of the time you will see boar standing around them, and they are boar stones, and it's a spawn point for boar on the map, which you'll need their meat, and 2, their leather, to make a lot of different crafting items. So it's good to know where they're at, mark your map. Take full advantage of the system that they have here. As you can see, I have, I abbreviate. I use RB for raspberries, BB for blueberries. You have your copper. You can mark where trolls are. You can left click to put a red X. Take full advantage of this. So right here, I would double click and I would write, boar, And then when I come back, in a couple days, the boar may have respawned and they'll be standing around this or in this general area. There's one right up here. When you're crafting something and you say you want to craft it, there's no cancel, but if you click that button again, it cancels the craft. So as you can see here, I'll do it again. You click it, it's loading. If you click it again, it stops the craft. In the beginning of the game is pick up everything. You're not going to know what you need. So the dandelions, the rocks, the fish, anything you see on the ground, the stone, pick it all up. You never know what you're going to need. Your inventory is going to get full, but don't overload yourself on stones and sticks because they're plentiful throughout the map. But any raspberries, any mushrooms, anything you see that looks like it could be something, it eventually will be. So you could pick it up, save it. If you can put it in a chest, that's great. If you find yourself exploring before building and your just inventory is constantly full, you can kind of manage what you need. But I highly suggest you pick up everything, specifically in the early game, because you just never know what you're going to need. And the last thing I'll say, guys, is sleep at night. You can work through the night if you want to, but the mobs, they come out in more force, if you will. Their spawn is more frequent, and they typically have higher stars, which means they're more difficult and they hit harder, and you can just eliminate that in the early game by just going to sleep. Thanks for tuning in for the top 10 things that I wish I knew when I started playing Valheim. Drifter out.